Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 21st, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. Good to be back home in the home studio. Came home to some nice weather. It's supposed to be nice the early parts of this week. So looking forward to getting out and enjoying that. But as we do every Monday morning, let's rewind the weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And the crew over at Philly Goat has been on fire lately. So go check out some of the new stuff that they have. You will not be disappointed. Not a very good weekend for the Phils. Lose 2 of 3 to the Angels. The starting pitching really let them down. 6-5 loss on Friday night. Luzardo struggled, but again, the bullpen wasn't too bad. Harper hit 2 home runs. Schwarber hit a home run in his first game back from being the All-Star MVP, but Luzardo did put them in a hole. Saturday, Taiwan had his blow-up inning, as he always do, but the offense was able to do enough. Schwarber with a grand slam, Harper with another 2-run homer, and both of those dudes are red hot right now, so that, I guess, is a good thing. The crowd on Saturday night was out of control. Before the game, it was announced Bohm went on the injured list with a fractured rib, which I did hear John Kruk say that's going to hurt him pretty much the rest of the season. But it gives Otto Kemp some extended playing time to show what he can do. So we'll see what happens with that. And then yesterday was just a dud. I heard some people complaining about some of the questionable calls by the umpire led to Rangers blow-up inning, but it's not like he was pitching great when the bases were loaded. So the starting pitching just was not good, and the offense did enough on Friday and Saturday, but couldn't get anything done yesterday. The bullpen was okay again and did what they needed to do. So not a good weekend. They're clinging to a half-game lead over the Mets right now. With the Red Sox coming in, you have Wheeler tonight, Sanchez Tuesday, and then Luzardo again on Wednesday. There is some help on the way. They re-signed David Robertson for the third time, one of a handful of players in Phillies history to be signed 3 times. It's not the end-all, be-all. He's 40, hasn't pitched at all this year, but will, I guess, give them some vet leadership down the stretch. I don't know. It doesn't really move the needle for me. And I hope this is not the big free or trade deadline move that Dave Dombrowski has. But welcome back, David Robinson. Welcome back. We'll see what he can do. The All-Star logo and all that was announced on Friday. Pretty cool looking logo incorporating the Liberty Bell. Everybody's getting excited for the All-Star game next year. I'll get there. I need to get through this season and see what is going to happen because that just seems so far away because we have to finish out this season. And then there's so many questions on what they'll do this offseason. But not a good weekend for the Phils. Hopefully they can take care of the Red Sox, who are coming in on fire themselves pre-All-Star break. So we'll see what happens. But not a good weekend for the Phillies at all. On the other side of Patterson Avenue, though, you had the Eagles, who got their Super Bowl rings on Friday. These things are amazing. By far the best Super Bowl rings ever made up until this point. Lots of diamonds, obviously, as you'd expect. It has both the Lombardi trophies on it, but you push a button and the wings pop out. So it's a pretty cool ring for the Eagles to wear. Training camp opens tomorrow. Let's go out and defend this title and go back to back. So next year's ring will have 3 Lombardis, but pretty cool rings. I'm sure at this point you've seen them. But training camp opens tomorrow. Let's get it on. And then the Union dropped back into second place in the MLS Eastern Conference with a 1-1 tie out in Houston on Saturday. Jack McGlynn with the Union's only goal against his former team. They head into the All-Star break now. Their next game will be Saturday. I believe there's 10 games left, not including the U.S. Open Cup and some of the friendlies they have. But it's crunch time down the stretch for the Union. But they're off until Saturday. Had a 1-1 tie against Houston on Saturday. So what happened this weekend in Philly sports history? Well, on Saturday, July 19th, back in 1977, Greg Luzinski hit a home run in the All-Star game as the National League won 7-5. Mike Schmidt was also on that team. Ironically enough, was only used as a pinch runner. You don't necessarily think of Mike Schmidt with speed, but that was his deal in the 77 All-Star game. But it was Greg Luzinski hitting a home run to help propel the National League to a 7-5 win. And then on Sunday, July 20th, back in 1912, Sherry McGee steals home plate twice in a Phillies 14-2 win over the Cubs. And then in 2009, Raul Bañez hit a 3-run homer in a 10-1 win over the Cubs. And it was his 207th career home run, making him pass Pete Incaviglia for most home runs with someone with the last name that begins with the letter I. I'll get that out. So that's what happened this weekend. We rewind the weekend every Monday here on This Day in Philly Sports History, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And again, check out, they've been busy. They've been in the lab cooking up some great teas. So go check it out and then use that promo code. All right, let's get into some housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Come over to the Discord channel. This next couple weeks is where things are going to start presentation-wise, start changing. So it's a great time to come over to the Discord channel, talk some Philly sports, training camps opening up, give your feedback on some of the new features and bells and whistles and everything. That is the first link in the description. Whether you're listening, watching this, come over. Let's have some good Philly sports talk. And as always, if you want to see some highlights, newspaper clips, videos, photos, go to my social media, including my Facebook and LinkedIn, to check that out. Just a quick reminder, don't forget, Eagles training camp opens up tomorrow. Pre-game show will kick off this season. Finalizing a lot of the good or different things for that. And if you're a regular listener, you know I used to do an Eagles pregame show on my Sunday episode. It's going to be more of an expanded version of that. So stay tuned for that once football season gets underway. And then we are slowly winding down our greatest individual season in Philly sports history tournament. That will wrap up on July 31st. And then starting August 1st, I'm going to get into the list game for August and kind of look at the first 25 years of this century, take a trip down Philly sports memory lane and give you the top 5 of the first 25 here in the century. Hard to even fathom that it's been 25 years since. Remember back in 2000, we were all worried about Y2K or leading up to 2000, and lots of things happened since 1999. But if you'd have told me we'd have a World Series, 2 Super Bowl rings, I'd have taken it. So that's coming starting August 1st. So look for that. And don't forget to, if you didn't check it out on Fridays with AI, we asked AI to grade the Phillies' first half individual players. Kind of an easy grader, I would say. So be sure to go check that out if you haven't listened to that yet. And then lots of feedback from Friday on the Joel Embiid article. I had some people get pretty, not nasty, but basically say, oh, you're blinded by reality. Joel, this, that, and the other. And look, here's what I'm going to say about it. If you read the article, or if you haven't read the article, go check it out on ESPN.com. But I'm not saying Joel is not to blame in any of this, but he really, if you think about his story, he didn't really have much guidance when he left Cameroon to come over here. He bounced around a couple different. It wasn't really foster. I forget the word that were used, but kind of living with some people as he was playing, and even in Kansas. Basically, Bill Self was kind of telling him maybe, and Joel himself wanted to stay, didn't feel like he was ready. His agent talked him into going pro. Um, but when he got to the Sixers, they didn't really have things in place to kind of guide him and help him grow. So that's early on in his career. That's what it is. Now, you can say what you want about the way he leads and this and that. And like, I'm fine with that, but read the article. And like I said, I'm not saying Joel is completely devoid of any blame in this. However, I mean, the Sixers, they were a mess. And I mean, how do you not know where your number 3 overall draft pick is? You can't get a hold of him. You can't get in touch with him. Like that's a indictment, I think, on the Sixers. So I appreciate the feedback. It means you're listening. If you don't agree with me, that's also fine too. But I highly recommend you read the article if you have not done so already. Because there's a lot of people who said, "Oh, it's a fluff piece trying to promote Joe," and I mean, really, I don't think Joe comes off as a hero in it. To be completely honest, I mean, he 100%. He Jameer Nelson talked him into going to therapy because he needed it. So I don't think it paints him as the hero. I think there's blame to go on both sides, but I appreciate the feedback. All right, on yesterday. Friday's trivia question was, other than Paul Owens, who was hired on Friday's date to take over the first place Phillies, what other managers in Phillies history have taken him to the World Series? That would be Pat Moran in 1915, Eddie Sawyer in 1950, Dallas Green in 1980, of course, Paul Owens in 83, Jim Fregosi in 93, Charlie Manuel in '08 and '09, and of course, topper Rob Thompson in 2022. Thank you to everybody who voted on that. There will be another episode or another question later in the show. Packing up the whole crew for a week down the shore? Don't waste your first day dragging bags and beach chairs. Let Beach Caddy do the work. With bellhop service for move-ins and move-outs, plus beach cart rentals in Ocean City, Avalon, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, and Wildwood, they've got your back from driveway to dune. Stress less, relax more. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your bellhop or cart rental services. Beach Caddy, because vacation should start when you get there. Best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your order and let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your vacation. All right, don't forget that promo code for Beach Caddy will get you 15% off. Just go to Beach Caddy. These guys are great. Take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. All right, July 21st. And a couple things to get to. Obviously, they're going to be Phillies, but looking ahead to August, there are some other things on the horizon, so stay tuned. But back in 1997, longtime Phillies catcher Darren Daulton okayed a trade to the Florida Marlins for outfield prospect Billy McMillan. Dutch would go on to win the World Series with the Marlins and then retire. But as a Philly fan favorite here since 1980, three-time All-Star. He was the heart and soul of that 93 team that went to the World Series and came so close to forcing a Game 7. But I think Darren Daulton is a story of perseverance and patience personified. Didn't get off to the best start in his career. Was a member and got some hits and at bats, I should say, in that 1983 World Series season. Then knee injuries and different things. He had the accident that he got into with Lenny Dykstra, but always fought back. Was just, like I said, a rock behind the plate. Everybody on that team loved Darren Daulton, and he okayed the trade. He had a no trade clause, I guess, but okayed the trade. Went on to be a veteran leader for the Marlins, who won the World Series before calling it a career. Now, this game was announced prior to the Phillies game against the Pirates that day, in which they went out and lost 3-2. However, catcher of the future, Mike Lieberthal, went 1-for-3 with a double and a walk, scored a run. Curt Schilling was actually really good in this game, went 8 innings, struck out 15, but gave up 2 home runs and got the loss. That team was an absolute mess, though. At one point, they were on pace to lose 115 games or something crazy like that, but did get it together to win 94 games that year. And as far as Billy McMillan, played 24 games for the Phils, hit 292, but returned to the minors in 1998 and never got back up with the big club. But Darren Daulton was traded on this day to the Florida Marlins for Billy McMillan, who only played 24 games, but did hit 292 for the Phils, just did not fit into their long-term plans. And then fast forward to 2009, Phillies beat the Cubs 4-1 in 13 innings. Jimmy Rollins hit a homer, and then in the bottom of the 13th, it was Jayson Werth with a 3-run walk-off homer to give the Phils the win. This increased the Phillies' lead over the Braves to 6.5. It was their 10th straight win, which that winning streak would get snapped the next day. But 2009, the Phillies did go back to the World Series before bowing out to the Yankees. And then a couple milestones happened on this day in Phillies history. 1973, Ken Brett, while pitching for the Phillies, gave up Hank Aaron's 700th home run. Phillies did win that game 8-4. 2012, Shane Victorino got career hit number 1,000, becoming the first native Hawaiian to achieve 1,000 hits, and still to this day is only one of 2. And then in 2015, Aaron Nola made his major league debut, going 6 innings in a 1-0 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays. The only run scored in that game should have been a preview of things to come, a home run to the Tampa Bay Rays pitcher. So Aaron Nola, even way back to his first start, was giving up home runs. I shouldn't say that. I should be nice to Aaron, but we'll see what happens with Aaron, as he should be ramping up his comeback, because certainly could use him at this point, the way the starting rotation is going. That does lead to today's trivia question, though. All right, going back to Raul Ibanez and Pete Incaviglia, with the last name begins with I. Which former Phillies have the most home runs for the last initial of their name in Major League Baseball history? So A to Z, we already know one if you were paying attention earlier, but which players that used to play for the Phillies have the most home runs for their letter that their last name begins with? Hit me up on the Discord channel right there in the description. First link, any of my social media, the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get your answers in any way you can. So, for example, you already know the one because we talked about it. Raul Ibanez has the most home runs for player whose last name begins with the letter I. What Phillies have that distinction, or former Phillies have that distinction? Hit me up and let me know what you think on that. And then finally, our greatest individual season in Philly sports history rolls on as we are slowly wrapping up the regional semifinals. Regional finals will be this week. And then, of course, we get into the good stuff next week. But on Friday, we had a doozy of a matchup. Number 1 seed Mike Schmidt from 1980 just barely took down the number 4 seed Roy Halladay from 2010 with 51% of the vote. And that was a tough one. And it's hard to argue. I think Schmidt's season had more impact because they won the World Series. Halladay's had way more iconic moments with the perfect game and the no-hitter in the playoffs. But thank you to everyone who participated. And let's get into today's matchup. We have a Flyers region matchup, a battle of former teammates. Once again, second time Bernie and Bobby were taking on each other. But we have the number 2 seed, Bernie Parent from 73-74. He was an all-star, all-NHL, won the Vezina Trophy, finished second in the Hart Trophy voting, played in an outstanding 73 games that season, winning 47 of them, led the league in wins, had a 93.2 save percentage, 1.89 goals against, 12 shutouts, played in 17 postseason games, posting 12 wins, very similar save percentage, slightly higher goals against, 2.02, but did go on to win the Conn Smythe, the first of two in his career, helping lead the Flyers to their first ever Stanley Cup. He has taken on his Stanley Cup champion teammate, Bobby Clarke, from the following year, 74-75. Bobby was an all-star, all NHL, won the Hart Trophy, 89 assists, led the leagues as part of 116 points he had that season, had an amazing plus minus of 79, added 10 power play goals, 4 game winners, and then had 16 points, including 12 assists during the Stanley Cup playoffs, helping the Flyers win their second straight Stanley Cup. Now it's your turn. Whose season was better? Bernie Parent in 73-74, Bobby Clarke in 74-75. Get your answers in any way you can. Discord, social media, Back to the Future voice and text line. Whose season was better? Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, rate the podcast, all that other good stuff. Let's outsmart the algorithm. And of course, This Day in Philly Sports History is a proud member of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com for information on how you can join and be part of the team. But be sure to get that vote in for whose season was better. Bernie Parent in 73-74, Bobby Clarke in 74-75. On this day in 2009, Jayson Werth with a walk-off 3-run homer to give the Phillies their 10th straight win, increasing their lead to 6.5 over the Braves. And then in 1997, the Phillies trade longtime catcher and fan favorite Darren Daulton to the Marlins for Billy McMillan. Sad day indeed, but the team was just bad, and they did right by Dutch by trading him. He was able to win a World Series, retired. Unfortunately, he did get the aggressive brain cancer that did cost him his life. But Darren Daulton, fan favorite, one of my all-time favorite players, was traded on this day in 1997. Don't forget to let me know the answer to the trivia question. Which Phillies lead the Major League Baseball all-time home run list for the first initial of their last name? We all know A, Hank Aaron. There you go. I'll give you one. So it's nobody with the last name A for the Phillies. Sorry, Bobby Abreu. All right, go enjoy this great weather today. It's going to be a great day. Get out and enjoy it. Hopefully the Phils can bounce back. Zach Wheeler could certainly use a good, solid start here, be the stopper. And let's continue Schwarber and Harper to get hitting bombs. And I'd like to see Otto Kemp go on a nice little tear here. So we'll have more on that tomorrow. Eagles open training camp tomorrow. It is Tuesdays tomorrow, so obviously a little positivity / motivation, but go out and seize the day. Be a shark today on a Monday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 21st, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.